Sounds pretty good. Anyway, hey everybody, I'm Holly, aka the Scientology Geek, and I am here today with Amir, and we are going to be covering the recent investigative journalism into your old workplace, right? The HAPI?
Happy.
Such a sad place.
They will not be very happy right now, that's for sure.
I was gonna say, what do you think is going on over there right now?
I don't know. I mean, we know from the Freedom magazine, they put out this 6-page thing and sent it to the Times, and they said within a couple of hours of the piece going out from the Times, apparently they got vandalized or something. So I have no idea. I have no idea. I would assume that they're in serious, serious trouble for letting someone again infiltrate them.
Letting a journalist infiltrate.
And it's an FEBC org, so they're supposed to have all of the technology, and they're trained in how to confront and shatter suppression, PTSSP, and superpower cosmic surgeons, and clear class fives, and admin series, admin know-how series, PR series. The data series is supposed to be trained in all of this admin technology, and they've just been infiltrated from a guy that's been going there for a week, and they've been recorded. So I would think that they're in serious, serious trouble.
To be a fly on the wall over there.
That's true, to be a fly in the wall over there.
But I'm gonna load up the articles quick.
Holly, are you tea or coffee?
All depends on the mood. Morning, usually coffee, nighttime, tea.
Okay, fair enough.
Trying to find the video. So was that on the first link or the second one? Or you wanted to go over you said there was a Tom Ball video, right?
Yeah, there was a 4-minute YouTube video. So there's two ways. There's either I sent it to you or it's on YouTube, just the Times Scientology. I think it's like 4 minutes long or something. Tom Ball, man, what a guy. Here we go.
One particular assist is called a nerve assist, and that involves the practitioner rubbing their hands up and down the torso of the unwell person. And we believe that this 15-year-old girl, in her capacity as the medical liaison officer, was giving or is giving these assists, and that includes to adults and to men.
There's a new investigation published on the Times Online this morning. The Times journalist Tom Ball has been investigating a Scientology church in Edinburgh. He began his research after he met a man called Amir, who'd been a senior executive in the church but had recently left. Amir told him the church in Edinburgh was hiring under 16s to work for them. Tom went undercover to find out more.
Amir suggested that I just go along and I sign up for one of their life improvement courses. So anyone can do them. It tends to be the way that people get into Scientology. So you'll often, if you walk past a Scientology building, you'll often see that they are advertising for something called a personality test. So I went in, took this personality test. The personality test is 200 questions, ranging from sort of reasonably generic stuff like, do you lie awake at night thinking about your regrets, to more specific stuff like, do you think you eat more slowly than other people? So I filled that out. I was then marked on my test, and the result came through and told me that I was depressed, irresponsible, nervous, all these sorts of things, all of which were sort of news to me, really. But they said to me, well, one way to improve this is to take one of our life improvement courses, and we can maybe help you out with these problems that you're having. So that's how I got in.
Once inside the organisation, Tom had a week where he could spend as much time as he wanted at the church. He noticed children milling about and had been told they performed administrative tasks, but that's not the only tasks they seemed to be performing.
So one of the roles that one particular girl we believe trained for was to become a medical liaison officer. This is according to Amir, but he says that in her role, this girl who is 15 is tasked with giving an assist. And in Scientology, an assist is a pseudo-medical procedure, and the principle essentially is opening the channel between the body and the spirit. One particular assist is called a nerve assist, and that involves the practitioner rubbing their hands up and down the torso of the unwell person. And we believe that this 15-year-old girl, in her capacity as the medical liaison officer, was giving or is giving these assists, and that includes to adults and to men. And Amir told us that these assists take place in a locked room, unsupervised. And I was wanting to find out how true this was, and so I said to one of the senior executives there one day, I'm having problems with my shoulder and I've tried acupuncture, orthopedics, all sorts. And he said, oh, well, you should have an assist. And he explained what the assist was. And he said, oh, this 15-year-old girl, she gives a lot of those assists.
The church, in response, have said the following. Although referred to as staff, the church insists this does not denote employment, but the staffing of training courses completed by volunteers.
In response to the Times findings, the church stated that no person under the age of 16 is a member of staff at the Church of Scientology in Edinburgh. It did not respond to whether or not they had obtained a child employment permit.
A spokesman said those who signed contracts, which lawyers described as volunteering agreements, do so entirely as volunteers. These agreements are described as staff contracts in internal documents.
Naturally,
I love how we call them staff, but we have them sign contracts and they technically work full time and more, but it's not a staff thing. And they get an allowance, but it's not a staff. Like, what the fuck, man?
I know.
children are involved in the life of places of worship in every religion in Scotland. He said, we are no different. Like other religions, we allow some older children to help out in our church.
Any volunteer participation is done within all the rules prescribed by law and in the context of normal child safeguarding and protection policies and practices.
Lawyers for Scientology said the
You ain't protecting fucking anybody except the pedophiles.
It was a volunteering agreement and was not a contract of employment, but a religious pledge. They added that there was no mutuality of obligations, which is an absolute requirement for a contract of employment to exist.
And I looked up this term, I word cleared it, and I found, where is it? I found this. So mutuality of obligation. The significance of mutuality of obligation is that it determines whether there's a contract in existence at all. Without mutuality of obligation, there can be no contract. Only when the basic requirements for this have been identified is it possible to then consider whether the contract is of employment or services. The basic requirements as to mutual obligations necessary to determine whether there is a contract in existence at all are that the engager must be obliged to pay a wage or other remuneration, and that the worker must be obliged to provide his or her own work or skill. So I've said this to Amir already. I don't know if this applies, but does the free auditing and training count as a remuneration?
Yeah, absolutely, it would.
Because now that's mutuality of obligation.
Yeah.
What's going on, Heather Mack? And how you doing, Laura? Good to see you.
They said that they are not paid but are given discretionary allowance, the process in which, through the payroll system, is a matter of convenience and
that's
agreement.
Another thing. These are fucking
you can read
payroll
the story
system.
on the Times online now.
Fucking scumbags, man.
Yeah, a lot to say. You know, shout out to Tom Ball. He's amazing. I've met up with him a few times. He came over to Edinburgh, came to Scotland for when he was spending time here. I met him when I was down in London, went out with him for a little bit. He's a legend. Not many people, anything to do with kids and children and churches or religion or inappropriate stuff, especially since it's such a sensitive subject that you're touching on. It's not many people would touch that subject with a 10-foot pole. So shout out to Tom Ball. He's a legend. I was so happy to help after being introduced to him by Alex. I was very happy to help with anything that I could. Giving him tips, advice, providing him with any information that he wanted to know, any facts and documents that he, wanted to see, anything that would help at all, just to get this out there. And it's one thing for me to come out and talk about what I saw when I was there. It's one thing for Alex. It's one thing for many others that were, in the SEER organization, that were on staff, that were public, that were abused or saw abuse in the many forms that it comes in. But this guy he's not a Scientologist. He wasn't born into it. He wasn't in it for years and years and years. He didn't get to the higher echelons. He wasn't at the top of the pyramid. He just went in for a week and did a service. And through that, he was able to see everything. And he documented everything. And he could talk to minors. He could talk to the 18-year-old director of training course supervisor. He could talk to Malcolm, the executive director, the boss. He could talk to John Gurley, the deputy executive director. He could talk to Gillian Brown, the public executive secretary, who's over all of social media and the public side of things, reaching new people, who's on the streets, dealing with new people, trying to convert them into Scientology. So he's just documenting everything there. Nothing is made up. Nothing is theoretical. Everything is factual. So when they do come in, because obviously they're going to deny every documentary you've ever seen at the very beginning or at the end. Scientology denies these allegations. Okay, fantastic. Deny away. But now we have audio recordings of everyone, which we'll get to, admitting to this stuff. So when you come out and just say, there's no such thing as a 15-year-old doing this. Okay, well, go argue with the deputy executive director who just admitted to it on tape. These kids are going to school. Okay, well, go argue with the 18-year-old course supervisor who just admitted to them not going to school. And you know what I mean? It's just, we have this out there now. And I can't say enough about Tom Ball. Obviously, as we go through this and we go through the piece and the recordings, I'll, tell you everything else. But that guy's a legend.
I know, seriously, shout out. That's I can only imagine the especially with everything that's happened over the time that Scientology's existed, just being someone to just go in there and do that again, infiltrate it. Because I know the Ono Ross and Carey podcast did it, I think, and they did the Purif or some shit. But yeah, no, still just.
Do you know what the original plan was?
No.
He was going to join staff.
No, oh my God.
He was. I know that that's bananas and insane, but see, when it comes to like any informant work or somebody going in to the KKK or a crime family, or like one of the five families back, when there's a lot of informant work to discover illegal activity, or going into a sect or a cult, or going in to uncover some serious allegations to check if it's factual, the backstory needs to be solid when it comes. And we knew that he would be sec checked and he'd go on the meter. And when he gets asked, have you ever worked in intelligence? Are you a journalist? And if that needle moves, they're going to stay on that subject. They're not going to move on from it because there was a read on the meter. So, and also it would have taken much, much, much longer. That's another thing. And it was already 8 or 9 months of work as it is. People were going on holiday and there's a lot of legal work and you need to give them right of response. And Tom had to have enough time to gather information and fact check everything. And there was a lot. The cogs were incredibly slow, and it would have been even slower if he had joined staff, as amazing as that would have been. But it would have been very difficult. So obviously it says it in the video. I suggested to him, just go do a life improvement course. You will still have access to all the staff. You can talk to anyone that you want to talk to. You have access to, you can see when staff meeting is. You can wander around. You can speak to whoever you want to speak to. You can still collect all the facts. And you can also document this as well. You can, the day and age that we live in, anyone that's in a cult or wherever they are can just pick up voice memos and just stick it in their pocket and record a conversation in any meeting or interaction. So if anyone's being abused, if anyone's in a household being abused or a group or an environment being abused, you just stick on voice memos in your pocket and you just collect several recordings and bang, it's unbelievable what people will admit to. So now we have that with Tom, with several executives. Some of them are actually OEC FEBC and they should know much, much better. But I think it makes it even more embarrassing that you spent 3 Christmases, 3 birthdays, 3 Thanksgivings, 3 anniversaries, all at the pinnacle in Clearwater, Florida at Flag, and you still can't realize when an informant is there. I think that is just, I mean, what more could you want? How revealing is that? But yeah, it's I'm still like geeking out over this completely.
What is it? Your first big investigative journalism piece? Your first big like guest appearance?
Oh, and your girl too, obviously.
Mine, yeah, for sure. And I think the most important, because it's such a sensitive and important subject. You're dealing with child trafficking, you're dealing with child labor, you're dealing with a lot of different things. It's so sensitive, it's so important. And that's why, you know, the video's on YouTube, it's on TikTok. There's obviously several articles, there's a podcast right there. People have reposted it and made videos on it, and I encourage more people to make videos on it and just get it out there to their established fan bases and to their viewers. And the public outrage is insane. I mean, you know, scrolling through, I think on TikTok it's almost hit 1 million views, just this one video. And the
God damn.
Times, yeah, it's and you know the Times has 10 million people read the Times every single month. Half of the members of Parliament read the Times. It's a very, very well respected paper. But I was like scrolling through just briefly some of the comments, and just the public outrage is insane. I mean, people are like, you know, where's the police? And this is crazy, and you know, people are reacting to it, and not many people knew that this was happening, and it's great just to get it out there. Some people texted me back and said, "Oh, Amir, I've just written to like my MP, my member of parliament in my constituency," which is great. I know that there are a lot of parties that are now interested in this, especially because it's coming out in the Times as well, which is very, very well respected. So it's great. It's reaching so many people. It's not even been a week. I mean, it literally just came out this week. So I'm very happy with that.
I can't wait to see what they do in the future possibly as a result of this.
Me too.
So, did we want to listen to the podcast or?
Can we do the article first, if that's okay? It's funny. I don't think Holly. I think you're like literally the first person that's going to put Article 2 out that I know. Everyone that has put it out on the internet has spoken about Article 1. This is Article 2 right here. So I think it's crazy and insane and unheard of. And I really wanted to do this with you just to get Article 2 out there, especially because you're the first person to do it right now. But it's, yeah, we're going to go through some pretty interesting stuff.
What I Saw When I Went Undercover with Scientology by Tom Ball. I had heard about the Scientology stare, but it wasn't until I spent a week undercover at the church that I experienced for myself the unnerving power of that intense and impassive gaze worn by many members of the movement. Posing as someone casting around for a new direction in life, I had enrolled in a life improvement program at the church in Edinburgh, which enabled me to spend a week there completing the course. As a newcomer, I soon came to the attention of Gillian Brown, who runs the church's public-facing department. Fixing me with an unblinking stare, she asked me a series of searching questions about myself before asking what I had read about the movement online. I told her that I had read that Scientology was a cult. She batted away the suggestion, saying that cults usually centre around a single messianic figure. "We don't really have that," she explained. I might have retorted by pointing out that we were sitting beneath a portrait of L. Ron Hubbard Scientology's founder, surrounded by books all written by Hubbard, in a building bearing Hubbard's name.
So, have you looked us up online?
I have.
Let's
yeah.
get real now.
Sorry?
Let's get real.
Okay.
There's a lot
Let's
of
get
different
real.
things about us online.
I mean, the thing that comes up mostly is that people say it's a cult.
It's a common one, isn't it? It's so annoying.
What?
Also, usually, within cults, there's usually like a messiah figure, where the other people around them will sort of like worship them or follow them. We don't
If only this motherfucker made it to the academy course rooms.
really have that.
Okay.
Listen to what Brown told me. 20 years ago, Brown was studying for a master's degree in history of art at Edinburgh University, when one day she decided to walk into the church and take a free personality test. Her life would never be the same again. These personality tests, which are advertised outside Scientology churches, are for many people their gateway into the religion. So it was for me, when one Monday morning I walked through the door of the Edinburgh church and told the man behind the desk that I was interested in finding out more. Devised by Hubbard, the test involves 200 questions ranging from the generic, "Do your past failures still worry you?" to the oddly specific, such as, "Are you opposed to the probation system for criminals?" Once I had completed the questionnaire, I was then taken to a room.
That's what they meant by prison without bar system? I've been trying to figure this out for fucking years.
I don't really.
Because I have never found that term anywhere other than the OCA.
Oh, I forgot it was in the OCA. That's right.
Room with a man called Tong Li, who presented me with a graph supposedly depicting my personality. It showed me to be deeply depressed, irresponsible and nervous, although moderately active, all of which was news to me. He then asked me what was going wrong in my life, and I told him I had recently returned to the UK, having spent some years abroad, and was unsure about what to do next. His response was to recommend that I take a course called Ups and Downs, one of the many life improvement programs offered by the church, each costing about £35. I agreed, paid my money, and began straight away. From that moment on, I would find myself entering a wonderland in which the rules of conventional reality ceased to apply. In the course of the preceding week, I would meet a man who claimed he could remember past lives that he had lived trillions of years ago. I would watch Brown commanding another man to repeatedly walk between two walls for over an hour. I would be told that if I fully committed myself to the religion, I may one day acquire godlike mastery over time and space. Many core tenets of Scientology's spiritual belief system can be found in other major religions. But where it does differ from its counterparts is in the claims it makes within the corporeal world. Hubbard, who was famously suspicious of doctors, developed a range of pseudo-medical practices within Scientology. One afternoon, John Gourlay, a former trawlerman who had been involved with the church since the 1970s and now serves as its deputy director, showed me a video which claimed that 70% of illnesses could be healed by addressing the spirit. Gourlay later told me that he had managed to increase his IQ 17 points by using a sauna for 5 hours a day for several weeks, a practice known in Scientology as a purification rundown. HAPI has its own sauna for this purpose and charges £1,500 for the program. I mentioned to him that I'd had a pain in my shoulder for several years. Physiotherapy, chiropractors and acupuncture had failed to resolve it. Gourlay suggested I try an assist. The procedure, invented by Hubbard, supposedly helps the body to heal physical illnesses, injury and trauma by opening energy flows between the body and the spirit. Nerve assists require the practitioner to stroke up and down both the front and back of the patient's torso. Troublingly, he then explained that one of the practitioners of these assists was a 15-year-old girl. Ron Hubbard found that there's a way to help the being heal himself, he told me, before explaining that the 15-year-old, who was just a young girl, did a lot of the assists. There's various assists. There's even one of them for how to make a drunk person sober, for example. As a life improvement student, I was required to spend much of my time at the church in the course room studying the course material I'd been given, alongside other members and an 18-year-old course room supervisor who would call to check up on me if I was late for my study sessions. The sparsely furnished room had desks at which to study Hubbard's voluminous writings and tape machines with which to listen to his lectures. There was also an e-meter, effectively a rudimentary lie detector, which is used to test students' learning. One day I watched the supervisor testing a 15-year-old boy with the e-meter. As she read out a series of words, he sat opposite her, holding onto two metal cans that were sending a small electrical current through his body, monitoring his sweat response. The ups and downs course that I had been offered was in fact far more specifically focused than its generic name suggested. The coursebook presented itself as a technology with which to identify potential trouble sources and suppressive persons within one's social and familial circles and disconnect from them.
All right, let's see what incriminating shit we got going on here.
This is specifically about overcoming ups and downs in life. Obviously, it's based on those principles, but this is a particular body of technology regarding what causes ups and downs, distinguishing different types of people, and so on.
That's Malcolm.
I was required to read through the text and then write essays naming people I know who would fall into this category of undesirables. The course appeared to encourage the reader to consider applying this to real life by cutting themselves off from friends and family. It seemed to me that most of those who worked at the church had followed this guidance themselves and were now fully enmeshed within the religion. Staff members, who wear a uniform of a white shirt and black suit, have breakfast, lunch and dinner together every day around the table of the church's narrow kitchen. Some of them are married to each other. Some live together. Several work together in jobs they take outside of Scientology in order to supplement their meagre church wages. During the course of the week that I spent at the church, I had several conversations with Brown in which she would warn me that people I knew would seek to dissuade me from joining and express her contempt for the middle classes and her own middle-class background, a theme that runs through Hubbard's teaching.
You ever worked in like journalism or anything like that?
Why?
Just wondered.
Why? Because I like to ask lots of questions.
No, I just wondered like for a second. I was like, oh.
But he never got caught. He never got actually exposed.
No, I was
Awesome.
in America. I was in the States with Alex, and I got a phone call from Tom, and he says, should we pull the plug on this thing? Because I think that she's basically caught us. And it's amazing. Like, we thought he was screwed, his cover was blown, because Gillian, that's Gillian right there, who we just heard from the recording, she's the PES, Public Executive Secretary. Her husband is actually a filmmaker, whose studio I've been to several times. But I remember that phone call very well, and it's amazing. I don't think that she raised her suspicions. I don't think that she reported it. I mean, we thought he was like, it literally. She brings up, "Are you a journalist, or have you ever worked in journalism?" And we thought, that's it, cover blown, but clearly not. Clearly not.
Brown questions me. Despite her outwardly welcoming demeanour, I felt she was distrustful of me from the start. Hubbard was notoriously paranoid about infiltration from the media and intelligence services, and wrote numerous internal briefings detailing how to detect, neutralise and counterattack infiltrators.
And it still doesn't fucking
I would
work.
often find excuses to leave the course room and wander around the building speaking to people, which only added to Brown's suspicions. "You ask a lot of questions," she said one day, with an oblique smile and intense gaze. "You've never worked in journalism before, have you?" I did my best to laugh off the suggestion, but was left with the feeling that she had seen through me.
And that is Article 2.
Amazing. Is there any more recordings? There should be one of John. Is it there?
Let me check. Malcolm, Gillian.
Jillian.
What about this one? Fuck you. God damn it.
I can't believe I whiffed
Fucking
that.
paywalls.
That's crazy.
Brown, Malcolm,
That is crazy. I whiffed that.
the podcast,
That's crazy.
Gillian, and that's it.
Okay, it might be on the other one. Yeah, it must be. There's one of John Gurley, the DED, who he was speaking about in this article, who admits to a 15-year-old who delivers these nervousists. I don't know if there's another recording after that, but amazing, amazing. Do you know what's hilarious as well? Is the first course that Tom does is Overcoming Ups and Downs in Life, the life improvement course, which is $50 in the States. It's about £35 over here in the UK. So his first course is learning about disconnection and SP.
Yeah,
His
just
fir-
immediately give him the us versus them mentality. That's
his
not a
fir-
red flag.
His first course is the antisocial personality and disconnection.
It totally doesn't help
It's
your,
so
your excuse
perfect.
that you don't do disconnection.
Oh, it was so perfect. And then Malcolm is obviously on tape, like, oh yeah, this is the body of technology about how you go up and down. And anyway, it's amazing. It's just amazing. On the other article, is there that John Gurley recording? I don't know if I sent to you the one without a paywall. I think I did. Shall we check?
I'm not seeing anything. Hang on 1 second. Let me switch my screen quick.
Okay.
To
2 shots.
I think it's this one. I just sent it.
let me check.
Take our...
Yeah, this one right here. This one. No, wait, what the fuck? No. This one. Right?
I literally haven't jumped
Oh,
around
that's interesting.
yet.
Hang on, because I think I've got 2 separate windows open.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh,
This-
wicked. Okay. Is it there?
I see the narration for the article. I see the podcast.
Jump off the
Recording of John.
Dude,
So,
it's too fun.
yeah. No recordings.
Try.
It was definitely there. I listened to it. Okay, that's interesting.
I was gonna say, see if you can get that fucking audio.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Revealed How Scientology Recruits Children as Staff by Tom Ball. In his hands, a 15-year-old boy holds 2 metal cylinders connected to a device that sends a small electrical current through his body. It is, in effect, a rudimentary lie detector, measuring the sweat produced in his palms when nervous. He is barefoot as tight clothing interferes with the mechanism, supposedly. In your recent study, have you encountered any word that you did not fully understand? His supervisor, a girl of 18, asks him. He is silent. But the device answers for him, momentarily jolting the dial and thereby revealing the gaps in his knowledge of the teachings of an American science fiction writer. This boy, who has short brown hair and a voice that is still breaking, does not go to school. Instead, each morning he and several other children come to this unremarkable building among the sooty stone frontages of Edinburgh's Old Town to spread the word of L. Ron Hubbard, the man whose august portrait hangs in every room. Known officially as the Hubbard Academy of Personal Independence, HAPI, the building on South Bridge, in the heart of the Scottish capital, is a church of Scientology. A Times investigation has found that for the past 2 years, the church has been engaging children as young as 13 to work alongside adults in administrative, training and recruitment roles. One teenage girl has a role which involves giving massages to adults, including male staff and members of the public. Scientology denies this. The church insists they are volunteers, even though they have signed staff contracts which require them to work full-time in exchange for desultory pay. Although referred to as staff, the church insists this does not denote employment, but the staffing of training courses completed by volunteers. Upon joining staff, they are given the job title of Hubbard Communication Officer Expeditor, the equivalent of a human resources role, and tasked with a range of duties including clerical work such as sending letters and shredding documents, in addition to more practical work such as helping to run training sessions with members of the public who come to the church to complete paid-for courses based on Hubbard's teaching. Later they can train for more specialised roles. One girl who joined staff aged 14 and is now 15 serves as a medical liaison officer, according to one former staff member. In her role, she administers massages to adult male staff and members of the public as part of a pseudo-medical practice known in Scientology as a nerve assist. A former senior staff
There's
member,
a big
Amir
man right
Asali,
there.
claimed that
Here's
these
the fucking
assists
picture.
took place in a locked room and unsupervised.
Who's that
This
guy?
is denied by
Looking all
Scientology.
tough with your arms crossed.
After leaving the church earlier this year, Asali submitted a report to the police alleging forced labour of children and exploitation of minors through inappropriate physical contact with adults. However, police closed the case citing a lack of evidence. The enrolment of children is believed to be the result of pressure from the movement's global leadership to accelerate expansion. Scientology has spent millions of dollars over recent years buying up high-value properties across the world as part of a growth strategy known as Ideal Org. However, many outposts have struggled to recruit enough staff and parishioners with which to fill these churches, according to researchers, due to a declining number of believers. In 2019, the church bought a modern office building near the Murrayfield Rugby Stadium with the intention of replacing the site at South Bridge, but 7 years later, the building remains empty. In an internal email seen by The Times, a senior UK church official wrote to Malcolm Fraser, executive director of HAPI, complaining that the Edinburgh church still did not have the requisite number of staff with which to relocate to the Murrayfield building by 2026. The official set Fraser a target of 10 more staff members in post by the end of the year and 10 more in full-time training.
Good
The
fucking
command
luck.
received at the 2024 IAS, International Association of Scientologists, an annual fundraising event, was "Man the hell up now," the email read. "This is what must be done and what I am writing to you about." Scientologists believe that humans are inhabited by an eternal spirit called a thetan that passes from body to body through a process of reincarnation. A child is therefore not distinct from an adult, as both bodies are inhabited by a thetan that is trillions of years old. During the 1970s, when Scientology's senior leadership took to the seas on a repurposed cattle ferry, Hubbard employed several pre-teen girls to act as messengers who would relay his orders around the ship. For several decades, the church also operated the Cadet Org, an organization intended to raise and train the children of senior Scientologists. Though disbanded in the early 2000s, the Cadet Org has since become a recurring source of lawsuits from former members alleging forced child labor. In 1984, a High Court judgment stated that Scientology was out to capture people, especially children and impressionable young people, and indoctrinate and brainwash them so that they become the unquestioning captives and tools of the cult. The role of staff members at a Church of Scientology, which is a legally recognized religion in the UK, differs significantly from that of a traditional church volunteer, priest, or verger. More akin to a corporate employee, their role is to sell courses to members of the public and attract more parishioners. There are about 25 staff members at HAPI, of which 4 are children below the age of 16. Another girl, who recently turned 16, joined staff when she was 14. 2 other children, aged 14, are also attending the church on a daily basis, though are not believed to be on staff at present. With the exception of one girl, they are all registered by their parents as homeschooled, thereby allowing them to come to the church each day. 3 children under 16 are living apart from their parents, who are 450 miles south in East Grinstead, West Sussex, where its UK headquarters are based. The other children are the sons and daughters of long-standing members of the community in Scotland. Scottish law does not require homeschooling parents to teach their children a particular curriculum, and nor does it stipulate that children must be taught during school hours. But it does state that homeschooled children below the age of 16 are not allowed to be employed in work during standard school hours in term time. Any employer who does hire a child of that age to do any form of work must apply for a child employment permit. In response to the Times' findings, the church stated that no person under the age of 16 is a member of staff at the Church of Scientology in Edinburgh. It did not respond to whether or not they had obtained a child employment permit. A spokesman said those who sign contracts, which lawyers described as volunteering agreements, do so entirely as volunteers. These agreements are described as staff contracts in internal documents. Naturally, children are involved in the life of places of worship in every religion present in Scotland, he said. We are no different. Like other religions, we allow some older children to help out in our church. Any volunteer participation is done within all the rules prescribed by law, and in the context of normal child safeguarding and protection policies and practices. Lawyers for Scientology said that the document was a volunteering agreement and was not a contract of employment, but a religious pledge. They added that there was no mutuality of obligations, which is an absolute requirement for a contract of employment to exist. They said that they are not paid but are given a discretionary allowance, the processing of which through the payroll system is a matter of convenience and agreed with HMRC. War hero, Hollywood scriptwriter, charlatan. Scientology was created by Hubbard, a pulp fiction writer from the Rocky Mountains, who in the latter half of his life turned his hand to constructing a vast and Byzantine system of religious belief that draws as much on spirituality as it does on self-help, psychotherapy, and science fiction. Its foundational text is Dianetics, a book published in 1950 amid rising interest in psychoanalysis in America, which offers a do-it-yourself guide to improving your mental health by revisiting traumatic memories. Hubbard later claimed that many of those who tried Dianetics had found themselves being able to recall memories from past lives, which led to him declaring the discovery of the Thetan. Over the years, his writings on the Thetan evolved into a Baroque space opera involving an ancient extraterrestrial dictator called Xenu, who imprisoned the Thetans on planet Earth. The story of Xenu is among the most highly classified texts in Scientology. It is only revealed to those who have ascended to the uppermost echelons of the religion, usually spending hundreds of thousands of pounds in the process. In Scientology's official telling, Hubbard was one of the greatest visionaries who ever lived. While still a child, he travelled to Tibet and studied with the last in a line of royal magicians descended from the court of Kublai Khan. Later, he was a Second World War hero, and then a highly sought-after Hollywood scriptwriter. Much of this hagiography, however, is not true. According to Barefaced Messiah, a biography written by the former Sunday Times reporter Russell Miller, Hubbard fabricated almost everything he ever said about himself. Multiple court judgments have been damning. In 1984, a High Court judge in London described him as a charlatan and worse, and deemed Scientology to be corrupt, sinister and dangerous, and has as its real objective money and power for Mr. Hubbard. In more recent years, documentaries and books by former members have exposed some of the church's abusive practices, including systematic harassment of its detractors and the enforced severance of relations between friends and family members, considered subversive. Nevertheless, the movement lives on. In Britain, there are 5 churches, including HAPI, as well as St Hill in East Grinstead, a Georgian manor house where Hubbard lived from 1959 to 1966, which serves as the movement's spiritual home. Scientology claims to have millions of followers, but researchers estimate it to have no more than about 50,000 worldwide, including 1,844 people.
I was gonna say, even that's fucking generous. God damn.
2021 census, a 24% decline on the census of a decade earlier. While the number of followers may be falling, the church still retains some powerful acolytes. Hollywood actors, including Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and Elizabeth Moss, continue to provide the movement with a sheen of glamour. David Miscavige, who has led Scientology since Hubbard's death in 1986, has proved highly successful in eliciting donations from its wealthiest members. Robert Duggan, a billionaire venture capitalist, and his ex-wife Trish have given at least $360 million over the past decade, according to reports. Trish Duggan has also donated more than $10 million to President Trump. He rewarded her by last year appointing her to the John F. Kennedy Center Board of Trustees, of which he is chairman. Being on staff is one of the best things anyone could do. The Times began investigating the church in Edinburgh after speaking to a former staff member who had worked as an executive at HAPI for 2 years before leaving Scientology in early 2026.
This is a minor
Asalahi
success
was a
story.
teenager when he first entered Scientology's orbit in late 2022. As an 18-year-old student at film school, he was curious about the religion.
Sorry, what'd you say?
No, this is a child success story. This is like the success story of a minor that he's about to read out right now, and it's very interesting. And I'll send this to Alex today as well, where not one of these people, whether it be a child or whoever, not one of them raised their hand in class and said, me, I want to join staff. Me, oh my God, I would love to join staff. Hell no, that didn't happen. This was like, I remember the CMO when they came from Flag. There was a Flag mission, and we had guys in management training, and we had the Commodore's Messenger organization. We had guys from there, and they would sit down with these 14, 15-year-olds, and it took convincing. I mean, these guys were peer pressured by definition to join staff. It was numerous sit-downs and meetings, and they protested and they said, well, what about my school, and what about this, and what about that, what about time, and I don't know if it's for me. There was numerous sit-downs, and they were peer pressured into joining staff. Not one of them, not one, put up their hand and said, I want to join staff. They were peer pressured into it. And so it makes it really interesting when you read these success stories. Also, the thing is about a success story is it has to be an acceptable success story. So not one of them, again, sat down, had written this up and passed it on, and then it got published. No, somebody approached them and said, you need to write a success story because we are promoting more people to get them to join staff. So they're ordered by their senior to write these success stories. And if it's not good enough, then they have to rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it until it's perfect. And then boom, it goes out. And it's wildly over the top. It's the best thing ever. It's saving the world. It's wildly over the top. Like it's that's why it's mixed emotions kind of leading through it. But yeah,
Especially those fucking videos of them giving like their wins from the golden age of tech 2.
I
And
know
the guy's
they're
like,
so
I can
funny.
sense the saline content of my cells or some shit. Like,
It's so funny. There was Tony Ortega put on his Substack recently, these OTs and their success stories, and it's like, I got a parking space, or the light went green, or I used tone 40 intention and the waiter looked at me. It's just, it's like, it's just everyday life occurrences. They're so funny, honestly. They're so funny to read some of these success stories.
I think, hang on, let me see if I have, hold on. Magazines. What is it, Advance?
Which one?
OT Phenomena?
Oh, yeah, it is Advanced Magazine.
All right, hang on. Because I've got some. Do you want to look through them quick? Do you want to look through one quick?
Yeah. There's a reference, there's a policy here from L. Ron Hubbard. Ellerich says, what you know of God, you know very intimately, because that's you. The life that beats in you and thinks in you and is in you connects up directly and is part of the parcel of an infinity, which we would classify as the supreme being. The most you will know about God for probably a long time to come is you. And that's from volume 12. It's from the R&D, page 102. But it's really funny when Tom's going in, not born and raised a Scientologist. He's there for a week, and he's promised that he's going to control matter, energy, space, and time. And there's so many references about L. Ron Hubbard saying, "Well, you are God. You are an immortal spiritual being. You have blown up planets before in your past lives." There is the whole Xenu story of an overpopulation crisis on a distant planet, and how it somehow relates to us, and how the state of man today, and how he says that there's this whole wild thing about controlling matter, energy, space, and time, and how you are undying, and how we're all gods and stuff. And he's hearing about it in just a week. It's just.
Hold on 1 second. All right, so this is the. Where is it? This one here. I was gonna say, do you want to read one of these?
I can't see anything, I'll be honest. This is.
Oh, you can't?
I think just my screen is so small. What does that say? Meeting a friend? One day after I'd finished an OT3 session, I decided that I wanted to see a friend of mine who I hadn't seen for several weeks. I intended for him to come and see me. The next day, as I was walking home from the advanced organization, there he was. There we go. There he was. It was the exact same time I had intended for him to see me that day before, and the exact same spot where I had been when I had placed the intention. I've never seen him on that corner before. It's not near his house or work. There we go. It's near my house. It just happened to be the nearest to the restaurant, and he just happened to be in the area and not have had lunch at 5:20 p.m. And then WP will be his initials. He just intended for his friend to show up like that.
How much meta-analysis of your own life do you have to do? Do
Wow.
Scientologists do? Like, how often are they that? I don't know how to say this right.
Yellow.
But, like,
Hi.
the fact that they're focused on their intention and how they're portraying it, I feel like that's a weird level of thinking that people shouldn't really be getting into, because I feel like it'd be like too stressful if you had that all the fucking time.
Yeah, it's and the success story is titled "Meeting a Friend." Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of commonality. Several of these stories, they're all like that, where it's just everyday natural occurrences, coincidences, simple things, timing a lot of the time. Parking spots and green lights, and somebody showed up when I was thinking about them, and there's so
I
much
found my
commonality
keys under the
through this.
couch because I postulated.
Exactly, and these guys have gone all the way up. This guy has gone all the way up to OT3. He hasn't even finished OT3. This is just after one of those sessions, and this thing has happened, which is really interesting. And he's like, "Whoa, OT phenomena, cause over life." But what do I tell you, man? Just because you paid more than $100,000 to get up to that level, it's
Do you
I'm
know
speechless.
if anyone questioned that while you were in, like, any of your coworkers?
No, actually, no, I don't. Success stories were really important because, and success stories from people that are new to Scientology are even more important. At least it wasn't in the UK for sure, because it's see at the lower levels when you're like a public. Like for me, the walls came crashing down when I became an executive, when I became the HES, and suddenly I'm senior to HCO and dissemination, promotion, and marketing, and gross income and whatnot. That's when reality changed for me. But from the perspective of a public, from the perspective, specifically from new public, it becomes sold to you as a philosophy and an applied philosophy. And so the success stories are more to do with communication and toxic people around you, and the A dynamics and ARC, and the basic fundamentals. I mean, even those fundamentals are carried out through the highest levels, but it's more kind of grounded and philosophical. Whereas when you get to these higher levels and these success stories, they're more sci-fi. They're more outrageous. They're more over the top. They're more in the theology of Scientology. But I don't. No one would kind of kid around about it. Nobody would joke about it. No one would take the piss about it. It was actually encouraged, and it was postered everywhere. I mean, there's so many magazines, and people would put it on their social media pages, and people would get it out there and put it on group chat. Success stories were so important. There's actually a place for it on the org board as well in Division 6. But now when we leave, or if we were never in and we take it to the internet and we show it to the general public and we kind of look at it right now, it's just and you're not in that mindset. It's wildly over the top and crazy simple, and it's actually, for the most part, hilarious to read through. Is this OEC Volume 6?
Yep. Do you remember which subdivision?
I used to be PCS, Public Contact Secretary, but that org board is not the org board that we have today. That's an old org board, because the current org board has 3 departments, not 4, which is really interesting. It's not their body routing. I think it's in Div 6C. I think it's in 6C, because this is 6A. It will be a Field Control Secretary. Yeah, I remember all of this stuff. Yeah, it will be because that's Division 6A. It will be in Division 6C. Is 6C there?
Yeah, 6C is right here. It's like raw public events section, contact analysis.
Is that 6A or 6C?
This is 6C, but I'm going to check 6A. I see book distribution, film festival stuff,
I think that will be, but
street book
think
sales, FSMs, right?
This is still Division 6A. Director of Public Book Sales. Yeah, see.
Oh,
there we
wait,
go.
I see what you mean. Jesus Christ, I have been not
There's
focused. All right, I'm in 6B, 6C. Okay.
There we go. Field
Department
Control. There we go. Success section.
Let me.
Success officer, success interview in charge. I'm pretty sure it's part of that hat pack. New civilizations. Yeah, of course, we're going to get into the OTC, the OT committee. We're going to get into Criminon and
What the
Applied
fuck is this?
Scholastics. I have no idea what that is. Gung Ho groups. Yeah, OTC is in there. Wise is in there.
What
Applied
is
Scholastics, Drug Free
Special
World.
Zone?
I don't know.
New civilization realization officer? Jesus fuck.
It's a birthday game statistic as well.
What is the statistic in that?
Percentage in field of new civilization or something like that.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. I gotta check my notes. I think I might have it. Nope, that's not it. Is it under posts? Stats. Nope. All right, fuck looking for that then. What else? Special groups campaign. What were you holding from above?
Well, I was the HES for the longest time, and then I became PCS, Public Contact Secretary. So everything in Division 6A I did and held. But even bigger than that, HES. That's an outrageous job, especially when it's your first job as
So
an exec.
what kinds of things exactly did, like, what was the average day for you other than the meetings? Like, what was the actual work you had to do?
Obviously, I had 6 meetings. Got even worse on Thursdays. Okay, let's see. Well, I was over all of HCO, so communications, mail, ethics, reports, inspections, recruitment, the form of the organization, the hatting and training of people, the form of like the postings of where people go, lots and lots and lots and lots of recruitment. That's for damn sure. I worked on that a lot. It's also a main birthday game statistic too. What else? Oh yeah, because there was fully hatted staff, which was a birthday game statistic, and there was qualified staff hired. That was another birthday game statistic that I had. There was what else? There was Division 2. There was the Department of Promotion and Marketing. There was Department of Registration. There was BSO as well, bookstore officer. There was my main stats were GBS, gross book sales, selling books, making money selling books and lectures and materials. There was gross income, which is the most important statistic. Gross income, GI, making money so that they can send money to Flag, which is one of the Flag banking officers' main statistics, payments to Flag. Also, they have financial planning meetings, FP meetings. So there had to be money for, you know, dissemination.
You had to fight for your allocation.
Yeah, absolutely. There was, money for promotional pieces. There was supposed to be a portion set aside for staff as well, which was hardly anything. There was money sent to the US to Clearwater. There was a lot. There was a lot as the HCS for sure.
What was the average meeting like related to financial planning and trying to like defend your side? Like what was that atmosphere?
Oh, I haven't talked about this in a while. FP was boring. FP was so boring. I always tried to get out of it, and there was times where I would just lie just so I didn't have to go to FP. It was extremely boring, and I felt like I didn't have a say in anything because I was outnumbered and outtrained by the FEBC executives that were present. The flag rep, the ED, the LRH communicator, the exec esto, the org officer. Although I held 1/3 of the organization, I was outnumbered and outtrained by those executives. So I felt very nervous in those meetings actually, and I felt I just didn't have a say in very much. Not just me, but there was several executives that felt the same way based on my conversations with them. But it was really boring. It was not. There were meetings that were more funny and more interesting than FP.
Care to go into detail?
FP is very intense, especially when I have to deal with Jacob, the flag banking officer, who's another FEBC executive from Portland, Oregon. Skick was always funny and interesting. It's depends who you have at those meetings. That tends to make a difference. When you have all of these very intense FEBC executives. It's boring. It's very intense. Everybody's quite tense at those meetings. It's quiet. You can really tell with the atmosphere. Whereas SCIC Service Calling Committee, which was another meeting I would have, you'd have John Gurley in there, the DED. You would have, Eric, who's the director of processing. You would have couples that would argue, and it would be hilarious in a very funny way. You would have people that would go get a drink after. There was more of a comic kind of sense to it. It was less serious. It was more, okay, we need to get this crap done, but it was far less serious and more of a humor type environment, which I definitely liked. Whereas when you had more of these kind of top executives and you had orders from David Miscavige's communicator Lou, it was far more intense. Yeah, there was a lot. There was service calling committee. There was all of the musters that you had to attend. There was drilling. There was EC executive council meetings. There was product conference meetings. There was so many. Most of them were very intense.
So what was service calling?
Service calling committee there's many people in many departments and many executives that call people and bring people in. The supervisors call people and bring people in. People in Division 2 in dissemination call people to bring them in. Registrars, salesmen call people to bring them in. Letter regs call people to bring people in. People in Division 6C, that deal with events, call people to bring them in. So there's so many divisions and departments in tech, in the public side of things. There's so many people, even people that aren't even doing their job. It's just it needs to be done. We'll call people for them to come in. And we had a thing called Service Calling Committee, called SCIC. And we would gather around, we would talk about who's coming in, who are the prospects, who can we sell courses and services to, who can we get on the bridge, who's booked in, who's hot, who's not. There's a definition for a hot prospect. There's a very specific definition for it, which I cannot remember at this point, to be completely honest with you. But all of that was discussed. There were people that just could not be bothered calling other people, and I remember that there was a lot of hilarious meetings there. Yeah, I mean, it was really just to do with bringing people in. That's all SCIC was. SCIC is supposed to be 20 minutes. It's not supposed to be a long. Sometimes it would go over. Sometimes it would be much less. Sometimes people wouldn't even show up to it. But
What were the longest meetings?
Oh, anything Malcolm was at, the ED, those were the longest. Because he would go over a lot of stuff. He would take his time. He would be quite intense. I mean, everyone felt intense with Malcolm at those meetings, because Malcolm's getting orders from David Miscavige, or is going from David Miscavige to somebody else to Malcolm.
I was about to say it's not going through the follow.
No, Malcolm is considered more trained than them, so he doesn't report to them at all. He'll report to COC.
Isn't that off policy?
I don't know if it's on or off policy. I just know that Malcolm and the other guys are OECFEBC trained executives. And so the guys at FLAG and the guys that are at CLO, the Continental Liaison Office, they're not OECFEBC. Many of them are not. In fact, loads of them are actually doing their training right now as we speak.
But their literal job is to oversee all of the orgs in their specific division.
Yeah,
for their specific statistics.
That's true. But the explanation that I'm given and that Malcolm has given is they are considered more trained because of their OECFEBC training, and they have all the tech, and they've been doing it for 3 years, so they bypass all of those guys and go directly to FEBC Programs Chief or COCMO International.
What the fuck? More
Yeah.
management confusion.
I mean, the root cause of all of it is David Miscavige. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from anybody else.
Like, what kind of what? All right, what kind of orders is he sending down?
Oh, well, in the offices you'll find management orders. You'll find telexes, which I've read through pretty much all of them. Just years of telexes. Oh my god, it's very intense. It's just highly. If you can imagine at your day-to-day job, your boss giving you all of the responsibility and giving you tasks and orders which are so ridiculously unrealistic, and you're just supposed to get it done as soon as possible. That's basically what it's like. It's orders are coming down from the top of the top, from guys at Flag, COCMO International, FABC Programs Chief, these guys, COB's communicator Lou. Orders are coming down from these guys to Malcolm to basically move into the ideal organization, to get staff, to make enough money, to get stats up, to get raw book sales up. It's the most ridiculous, most unrealistic quotas and numbers that never get met. And there's just so much pressure and intensity to get it met. They never do because it's just so unrealistic.
I was gonna say, do you remember any of those quotas?
One of them was actually just read out at the Times article, like, man the hell up now. I mean, that's how they speak. It's not polite. It's like, you idiot, like, man the hell up now. It's one of them, I think, I don't know if it was in the Times article or if it was in something else that I was reading, but 10 staff in full-time training, 10 staff sent for FABC training this year, and 10 staff like on the TTC or something, and 10 staff added by October, before the IS event. Like stuff like that. It's just highly unrealistic.
Jesus, that's like another 30 people.
Well, they've only in 8 months. What are we in August now? In 8 months, they've only had one staff member join.
That's it.
Yeah, and
Have any left?
Me, two that I know of, including myself, two that I know of. But in 8 months, only one person has joined staff, and they are setting quotas and numbers like 10 before the IS event in October or November. It's just, it's
already fucking mid-August.
Yeah, it's not realistic. It's quotas and numbers like that. Like a GI above 20 grand when you can barely go over 4 grand.
And what happens when your org becomes downstat? I'm talking what comes from management, not just local punishment from fucking Qual or whatever, or HCO.
Yeah, there's no punishment from HCO. I mean, Malcolm just gets nailed. That's really all that happens. He gets nailed, and then he writes a weekly battle plan for the org, based on the orders that he's getting from management. But he just gets orders and just gets nailed in those telexes. That's really all that happens. It's just more pressure from above.
And he's been there for how long?
Well, Malcolm was born and raised into it. His mother, Shauna, was the ED at one point. She's from South Africa. She ran the place for a bit. His dad was on staff for a little bit, Dave. But he was born and raised into it. I mean, Malcolm was a flag trained supervisor at age 16.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been on staff since he was a teenager. And he's, nearly 40 now?
Shit. So he's had literally no other life experience.
Exactly.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's a product conference?
I'll see if I can send you the references on it. I think I might have some stuff. Product conference.
It's even just in your own words of like what you experienced.
All of the top executives are sitting in a very small room at a very small table with battle plans and a whole schedule for the day as to how they're going to get their stats up for the week and their plan for that. That's the tiniest summary I can possibly give you. It's comic, it's very intense, but it's the same crap every single day. It's one of the most pointless meetings. You have 2 of those meetings every single day, one in the morning and one after lunch. Most of the meetings are pointless anyway, Holly. Most of them are. Why do you need 6 meetings a day? Like it's so
Could have been a
pointless.
telex.
Exactly, it's so pointless. It just wastes so much time. They're very intense. It's just the same crap all the time. It's so pointless.
Again, I don't know how you put up with it for as long as you did.
I don't know. I used to bull bait people on it when it came to TRs, and they would always get them and crack them up because people can see the humor in it.
Oh, right. We were still listening to this article. I completely forgot about that.
That counted among its followers so many Hollywood stars. Intrigued by the claim that Scientology is philosophy applied to real life, Esalhi was soon coming in on a daily basis, completing courses on everything from relationships to financial stability. Then at the start of 2024, 3 senior members of staff, including the executive director Fraser, returned to Edinburgh after 3 years training in Clearwater, Florida, Scientology's equivalent of the Vatican City. Esalhi says that they brought with them a directive to rapidly increase the number of staff members at the church as part of the wider global expansion drive. Shortly after the trio's return, Esalhi was asked to join staff. He was initially reluctant to do so given the commitment required, but eventually agreed. Within a few months, he was working up to 100 hours a week, he claims, forcing him to drop out of film school. About the same time, the church began recruiting minors from among the children of members of the community. Esalhi claims that, like him, several of the children were reluctant to join, but were persuaded to do so over the course of several meetings with senior executives who flew in from the US. He claimed, Scientology can't recruit people. The buildings are empty and they can't get enough staff members. So the strategy goes into internal recruitment. They think, well, what if I can get my mum involved? What if I can get my cousin involved? What if I can get my nephew, my daughter, my whatever? So when those guys came back from Clearwater, it was go, go, go. There was a significant amount of pressure to get as many staff as possible, because now they've come back, they've got all of the training, they know all of the policy, it's been drilled for 3 years. The contracts that new staff members sign, known as an application for active participation and religious pledge, commit them to either 2.5 or 5 years of actively forwarding the work of the church. A separate document detailing what is expected of staff members sets out working hours and remuneration. Unusually, it also prohibits any relation among staff members to intelligence agencies, either by past history or immediate familiar connections. The document also states that candidates are required to go through a security check that involves being interviewed using the lie detector device, known as an e-meter, to check for any potential sources of trouble in the applicant's life. The same device is also used in training to test whether churchgoers have fully understood Hubbard's teaching. Staff members' pay, which the church says is an allowance, is calculated on the basis of how many courses it has sold that week. Data, seen by the Times, which is processed in the church's payroll system, shows the maximum wage paid to a member of staff at the church for 1 week in January was £249.74. Some staff, including minors, were paid as little as £62.44. After each child joined staff, a photograph of them smiling and holding their newly signed contract was posted on the WhatsApp group for HAPI staff members. They were later asked to write glowing testimonies about their decision to join up, which were circulated on promotional material encouraging others to apply. One girl wrote, shortly after being recruited, "I think being on staff is one of the best things anyone could do. I'm so thankful to LRH Hubbard for all his amazing work. Thanks to him, I know there is a way to solve things." The same girl, who is now 16, now works as a recruiter for the church and makes videos of other staff members describing how glad they were to join. Apostate Alex Esali said that before joining Scientology, he was oblivious to the bad press. However, during his time in the church, he gradually became more aware of some of the criticisms and began doing his own research. Eventually, it led him to speaking with Alex Barnes-Ross, one of Scientology's foremost critics and a former member who joined the church aged 15, became its London director of book sales at 17, and then left 2 years later. The pair spoke on the phone several times privately before eventually Esali agreed to appear on Barnes-Ross's podcast, Apostate Alex. They had an open and friendly conversation, and afterwards Esali thought little of it, despite being warned by Barnes-Ross that the church would look very poorly on one of its current staff members speaking to a declared suppressive person. He was right. Over the next 2 weeks, Esali says he was subjected to repeated interrogations from Fraser and Scott Wordy, Director of Special Affairs in Dublin. As punishment, he claims that he was put on hard manual labour, working to renovate a room on the ground floor of the church that was being turned into a shop selling Scientology books. He did one day before deciding to quit. Scientology claimed that it has been the target of sustained anti-religious and discriminatory rhetoric by Barnes-Ross. He said that he has nothing against Scientology's so-called religious beliefs. Rather, I am calling for an end to their abusive practices, and I welcome the day this church approaches survivors with empathy and compassion, rather than attacking those who speak out. Lawyers for the church denied that Esali had worked for up to 100 hours a week and claimed he worked a schedule of 4 days a week. They added that Esali had betrayed church staff by engaging in covert and deceptive behaviour. Disconnection. It is now several months since Esali left the church and he is still coming to terms with his experience. He says he no longer believes in any of Hubbard's teachings and considers the religion to be a scam that takes advantage of people's emotions. Shortly after resigning, he reported the church to Police Scotland, but was told the case was closed for lack of evidence. A spokesman for the force told The Times that no criminality had been established, but added that any further information provided will be assessed.
They better assess the
In
fuck
June,
out of this
Esali,
shit.
Barnes-Ross and a group of other ex-Scientologists delivered a petition to Number 10 calling on the government to investigate the church over allegations of coercive control, abuse and forced labour. In some ways, Esali was fortunate. He did not lose any of his family and friends. He plans to resume his studies at film school. But due to the acrimonious nature of his departure, none of his former colleagues, some of whom he considered friends, will speak to him, having been told to disconnect, he says. It is this threat of disconnection that provides the organisation with the leverage that prevents people from leaving, Esali believes. Leaving is more difficult still for those who have family members within the church or who grow up within it. A child born into Scientology grows up with Scientologist parents, Scientologist friends, Scientologist mentors, and often an entire social world that exists within the organisation, Esali said. If they later experience abuse, witness wrongdoing, or simply decide they no longer believe, they are not just weighing up whether to leave a religion, they are weighing up whether to risk losing their parents, siblings, friends, community, and support network in the process. Former members have often described this as the greatest barrier to leaving. The fear is not of being wrong, the fear is of being alone and losing all of your family members.
And that's the end of the article.
Wow. What's your take? Like, I'll give you mine, but what's your take after this whole thing, this whole situation, and those two pieces?
I never really dove into the post of the medical liaison officer. I only knew they were responsible for fucking medications and shit, and whether or not people could take them. But yeah, no, I had no idea who actually did the assists.
Yeah, yeah, it's. Do you know, I've got so much respect for Tom Ball. He's really something. He got John Gurley, the DED, to admit to this as well. So it's when Scientology do come out and say, well, well, this is not true and this is unacceptable. Well, we have some admitting to it. So I have so much respect for Tom Ball for going in and for exposing this stuff and for getting it out there. I mean, it's amazing the job that he's done. It's amazing. They just denied everything. Amir didn't work 100 hours a week. They just denied it. And then
You only worked
there's
four.
no
Were you actually 4 days a week? I was about to say, like, because you could not fucking do that shit. Was it 7 days a week, or were you?
It's not a lie. At one point, I was 4 days a week, but that was when I joined staff. I started off with 2 days a week. I just did weekends. Then that went up to 3 to 4 days. And then you have to fulfill day and foundation hours. So I want to say I was day, but then with the hours I was doing, it was technically it was both because I would be there until 11 o'clock at night or half 11 at night, near midnight, and I'm there from early morning as well. So it was technically it was both shifts that I was doing. But at one point it was 4 days, but then it got ridiculous when I was HES. It was I calculated it on my just on the calculator app on my iPhone. I was like, with the days and the hours and when I'm coming in and when I'm leaving home, and it was like 101 hours a week or something. It was
Fuck.
it was 101 hours a week. Also, the CR got more money than me because don't get me like the CR get terrible pay, like $50 a week.
But the fact that
But
they got more than you.
yeah, it's a consistent $50 a week. It's nothing. Don't get me, it's nothing, but it's still a consistent $50 a week. Whereas if I made no gross income in GI, there was no staff pay. So there is 2 weeks of no pay at one point. Then you get paid. Then there's another 2 weeks with no pay. So I didn't get anything consistently. I actually got less than the Sea Org, and I did more hours than the Sea Org. I arrived earlier and I stayed later when they would go home. So I mean, it was ridiculous. It was insane hours. It was modern slavery. It was literally modern slavery. And it also says in the article that what £67 per week, which is what £1 an hour or something, less than £1 an hour.
Something
It's
like that,
slavery.
yeah.
It's slavery. It's ridiculous. But there you go. Deny, deny, deny. It's written all over the OSA network orders, and it's amazing. Alex put it out on his blog, Scientology Business. I think there's more than 500 pages of these policies for their intelligence agency to follow. And L. Ron Hubbard's, it's so funny. L. Ron Hubbard's like pulling from war books, like Sun Tzu's Art of War. It's just attack is better than defending, and how to deal with attorneys and PR and how to destroy people, and it's amazing. He's talking about Alexander the Great and warfare, and I think there is actually a reference titled Alexander the Great about taking out the leader and not having to to go through the army. Yeah, exactly. And there's also the definition of war where he changes it, and there's just so much about destroying. Oh my god, yeah, enemy mistakes. There's so much in there. Dealing with enemies. There's the definition of war. There's a lot in there. There's a lot in there. There's about stuff about Scientology's front groups, about the purpose of Department 20, about how to keep Scientology alive today. There's a lot in there. I tried to kind of, I haven't read all, it's hundreds of pages. I haven't read through all of it, but the more I read through it, the more you are familiar with their delay tactics, for example. There's so much in there. I think that's the first reference, purpose of Department 20. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm just not sure which one. Like, I just, the fact that there's this much of it.
There's loads.
Ugh.
Yeah. And he's taking from so many different books and ideas. It's not even just all his, and there's large portions of it where he just gives it to psychiatry, just nails psychiatry.
Hold on, let me see if I can. A psych-controlled police state type of society. If one got hold of psych patients, psychologists, and psychiatrists, the use of a meter would disclose sexual and other crimes. Oh, it's all about the implants. Why, Hubbard? Why?
I love your reaction to it.
There was what was the shit I was looking at earlier today? I was going through Leah Remini's show and like pulling notes and shit. But there was some other document I looked at, and I'm trying to remember what it was. But it had something on it, and I was just like, what the fuck is this bullshit? I'm pretty sure it was I want to say a policy letter. Could be from HCO. We go to... Nope. Anything? Nope. Wasn't SEM, wasn't Treasury. Yeah, fuck it, whatever. There. I've been looking at the wrong shit. Oh yeah, this one. Just to mention that they're just trying to cover their asses. Any process labeled healing, old or new, refers to healing by mental and spiritual needs and should therefore be looked upon as the relief of difficulties arising from mental and spiritual cases. Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you. I know what you want to say. Oh, this one. From Ethics Officer Hat. It says, it's an easy job, mostly admin, but so is all intelligence work. The files do the job if you make people report and if you file well yourself. And when you feel exasperated and balked and feel like taking it out on somebody, do so by all means.
Wow.
It's
Humanitarian.
right fucking there. Take your fucking anger out on people.
Humanitarian, eh?
My God.
Shout out to Source. He's a G. He's a G. Yeah.
Yeah, G for goddamn liar. All right. Hold on. What else did I fucking like highlight now?
Oh, there was one more thing, and I wanted to wrap up on it.
What's up?
Have you seen the clip on TikTok from the Times?
No. Do you have the link?
I shall check. I sent it to you just now.
Got it.
yeah, I would love to wrap up on this. This would be just to get out there on your channel would be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Let me switch that to. Why? Why is this thing being a pain in the ass? No, not that. God, what the fuck? That's not what I'm looking for. What the fuck? Where's the other shit? There we go. All right, so I will share. Just don't want to. There we go. Okay, never mind. That's not what I thought it was going to be. What the fuck? Why did you not share the full screen, you piece of shit? Just shared my entire fucking shit. All right, whatever.
Holly, quick question. See, after this, can you later on or before you go to bed, can you send me the OCA questions? I don't know if you have. Phenomenal. Just the 200 multiple choice questions or whatever.
Yep. And then now I have to. Is it add? Not share screen. Fuck, I have this issue every time we run this. Local video. Come on, piece of fucking dog shit. What is the point of that? Why? Why? Oh my God. Yes, fine, do that. Nope, never mind. All right, it looks like this is being a bitch.
Is there any way of playing it on WhatsApp? Or I don't know.
So I have it up like I'm gonna play it, and then I
Okay.
clicked share, and it just shared my main WhatsApp fucking message screen. It didn't share the video. It didn't share what I was actually looking at. It just shared all my shit. So let me see if right click, download. There we go. Let's see if we can do this now. Share screen. Nope. Add local video.
I spent a week undercover in a Scientology church. Here's what I discovered. I walked into Scientology's church in Edinburgh one day, posing as someone looking for direction in life. After a 200-question personality test, I was told I was depressed, nervous and irresponsible, and offered a £35 course based on the teachings of Scientology's founder, L. Ron Hubbard. But as well as meeting churchgoers who claimed to remember past lives from trillions of years ago, I saw something more troubling. A barefoot 15-year-old boy sat gripping two metal cylinders connected to an e-meter, which passes a small electrical current through the body and measures sweat response. An 18-year-old supervisor was using it to test his understanding of Hubbard's teachings. He was one of several children attending the church instead of going to school. Our Times investigation found that children as young as 13 had been engaged in administrative, training and recruitment duties alongside adults. One teenage girl has a role which involves giving massages to adults, including male staff members and members of the public, behind a locked door and without supervision. Internal documents describe staff contracts requiring full-time hours and years of commitment, while records showed that some minors received as little £62.44 a week. The church says no one under 16 is employed as a staff member. It describes the children and adults working there as volunteers. The agreement says religious pledges, and the money is discretionary allowances. Lawyers instructed to reply to the Times say that the church does not have any employment relationship with its volunteers. But the children had job titles, regular duties, and signed agreements, with their enrolment thought to be as a result of pressure from the movement's global leadership to increase staff numbers and parishioners. As Scientology seeks to expand, our investigation raises a more troubling question. What role are children being asked to play in its plans for growth?
Okay.
I'm all I can think about is that fucking John Gorley audio. I want to hear it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where it is. I mean, I don't know if it's in the podcast or where. I actually don't know. I have heard it. It's there somewhere. I have no idea
I'll have
where.
to check the podcast again because I don't remember if it was in there or not.
Yeah, 100%. On that note, I would just like to say, to end it off, what I actually really want to say first is I want to thank everybody that is watching this right now on their laptop, on a phone, on their TV, on their PC, in the room, in the living room, wherever it is. Everyone in the replay crew, everyone that, and I was telling this to Alex, these videos are basically immortalized on the internet. And a friend of mine, John Atek, had said very recently on a video that these YouTube videos are just like a library where people can discover videos, they can come back to it, they can revisit it, and it's just this massive archival collection of what people choose to put out on their channel. And I think it's very well. I think John put it very well. But I want to thank everybody that is watching this video, that comes to that people that revisit. You can see that I'm not caffeinated and that I can hardly speak. And it's also 3 o'clock in the morning over here. What time is it for you, Holly?
About 10.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Hey,
See,
I'm
this-
already crashing. I usually am in bed by this time.
Oh god. Yeah, time zones are just, oh my god. Time zones really mess with me. It's funny because like when I deal with anyone from Australia, they're 8 hours ahead, and then anyone, on the west side is in the States is 8 hours behind. Anyone on the East Coast is 5 hours behind. And it's just like the difference is just mind-boggling completely. I'm going to try and get through this as best as I can. Basically, all I'm trying to say is thank you to everyone that supports Holly's channel, that comes back, that watches these videos, that subscribes, that likes these videos, that hopefully comes here to learn something. Holly, you've been making videos for 4 years, for nearly half a decade. You've
About that,
put
yeah.
out- Yeah, you've been putting out, you've been doing interviews with guys like Krishan, guys like myself, many other people. You get out L. Ron Hubbard's abusive practices and policies out there. You make videos because you want to make videos, not because people tell you to. And I encourage more people to get this out there. It's such an important thing, not just for me, but I think in general. Alex did a video on it recently. You're doing a video on it now. Nora Ames reposted it. Several other people have made videos on their TikTok pages. Aaron Smith11 did a video on it. T from A Voice in Honor did a video on it. John Atek, a friend of mine, and Steve Hassan as well did another video on it. I've got a couple of others, lined up. But it's such an important thing, and there's this whole BS PR answer that Scientology give of that's all, that doesn't happen anymore. Not true at all. We have proof. We have a guy who's never been involved in Scientology that was not high ranking at all. It's just a normal dude that just went in for a week, did one course, and managed to get all these people to admit to this stuff. That managed to just collect all this information by himself, by just gathering all the facts, as simple as that. He just managed to just speak to these kids, And I cannot say enough about Tom Ball. Not like I said, not many people would touch the subject with a 10-foot pole, and Tom went in. He grafted at it for many months. He went through legal. He gathered factual information, which can be verified, and he's just confirming what I've said, what many before me have said, what many people from the C organization have said, what many staff and public have said. And I commend him very, very highly. But I encourage more people to make these videos to get this out there. People are getting back to me. My phone has not stopped for several days. People have just, Amir, I reached out to an MP, I reached out to a member of parliament, I reached out to somebody here. I know that this person is interested. Literally, this phone has not stopped at all. And it's great. It's great. I mean, like I said, on the TikTok video, I think it's nearly got 1 million views or something. The comments are overwhelmingly positive from our side. For that's for sure. We're The public outrage is there, as it should be, and we are just against child abuse and illegal activity. That is the essential thing, and unfortunately, it's still happening today. It's not an old practice. People used to get thrown off the ship by this humanitarian LRH. We have brave people like Danielle Chamberlain, who was locked in a chain locker, who was SA'd, and it was fully blamed. She was fully blamed for it. Her story is recently on the Daily Mail if anyone chooses to read it, which I would definitely encourage you to go and read it. But these are not old, archaic practices. No, not at all. Very far from it. And we have people like Tom Ball who go in and just verify exactly what we're saying. And so, okay, fine. You can discredit me. You can discredit Alex. You can call me an anti-Scientologist. You can call me whatever floats your boat, dude. Whatever floats your boat. You can call Alex a bigot. Whatever. Okay, whatever. This guy has gone in and just verified everything. And not only has he verified everything, but he got people to admit that this stuff is actually going on. So go argue with your own executives for admitting to it. Go argue with the facts. Go, what is this whole volunteering stuff? No, that's not the case. These kids are trafficked. They are very far from home. People forget that there's like several countries in the UK. Like the UK isn't just London or just England. There's Scotland, there's Wales, there's Northern Ireland. Like there's several countries in the UK. So these kids are far from home. They're being sent. They're being trafficked from England to Scotland, up north, up here. They have no family. They have no relatives. Lord knows where they stay, and they're being sent to work up here. There's no voluntary stuff at all. I mean, you are expected to show up to work. We have the staff contract. We have factual information and documents. You are expected to show up to work. Expected. There's ethical consequences and punishments if you do not show up to work. There is a 9 a.m. muster. There is a day in foundation shift. There's 2 shifts. And that is your responsibility as a staff member to do those shifts. These are 40+ hour work weeks, which I don't know how someone is not banging on the door. These are full-time shifts and working hours which these kids have to do. There is no difference between an adult and a child. And we know through Scientology theology, because we've read the policy on it, that these guys they're gods. They're immortal spiritual beings. There's no difference between them and an adult, as we can see through relationships and through work and through the workplace. So this is still happening today. And I think it's so important just to look after our kids and to protect these kids, because they are not getting an education. And, there is obviously the medical liaison situation of this little 15-year-old girl who's delivering, these massages to elderly men in a locked room. There's so much in it. These kids are not getting educated at all, which is very, very worrying. It's not even like they drop out of school. It's like they don't even go to school. I don't even know if most of them have even went to school. I mean, I wouldn't class applied scholastics as a school. So it's just, it's still happening today. And I encourage everyone to, you don't have to make a video on it or necessarily post about it on your channel or on your TikTok page, but anyone that does like it or repost it or write to somebody, write to law enforcement or write to your congressman or if you're in the UK, write to an MP. But Holly, you're a legend for just getting this out there. I mean, you have more than 1,000 people that are subscribed to your channel. Many people tune in to watch you, and everyone has their own YouTube channel and their own established fan base, which they've gathered through years and years and years of uploading. And it's getting it out there to as many people as possible, to Australia, to the States, to the UK, because it is a global issue. It's not just something in Scotland or in Edinburgh. We did our investigation over here in the UK and in Scotland, but it's a global problem. It happens in the States, probably even more in the States, to be honest, with the Sea Org and with you guys have way more orgs than any other continent, I believe. So it's a global problem, and that's why I encourage more people, more ballsy reporters like Tom Ball, and more people to just get it out there. It's such an important thing. But that's Holly, that's basically where I want to leave it. If you, I don't know, want to add anything to that, then yeah.
I mean, I got nothing. Yeah, I can't top that shit. But no, I do. I'll agree with you on saying. God damn it! I can't fucking talk right now.
Neither can I.
Brain is trying to fire in 7 different conversations.
My brain's gone. I don't even have one
But
at this point.
Thank you everybody for watching. I have not said hello to Kathy, hello Sieglin, and hello Style Audit. Good to see you guys in the chat. And thank you all for interacting. Professor, I look forward to that. What else? Oh yeah, so I was gonna send you the wait. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. Had my mic off at the perfect moment, apparently. But yeah, so Sieglin, I have not been keeping up on Tori Chrisman. I am going to watch her live though, now that I know you're in it, and that's fucking sick. I'm gonna watch that, and that's gonna be so cool. I've been wanting to learn a lot about your story, so I appreciate you putting it out there. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna let you get to bed because it's fucking almost 3:30 in the morning. I'm gonna let everybody else fucking go eat dinner or do whatever the hell they're gonna do. And I will talk to all of you later. Amir, I cannot wait to have you on the channel again.
We're always in touch anyway. We're always texting each other.
Exactly.
So we'll arrange something for sure.
Cool. All right. Talk to you later, guys.